Hello and thanks for joining us on the maiden edition of Knowing Bayelsa, organized by the Bayelsa State New Media Team. I am Yvonne Azubato Paul, your anchor for today. Today we will be talking on a topic about the policies and programs of the restoration government. Do you know the Bayelsa State House of Assembly has passed more bills than any other? The fifth house has passed over 148 bills with all fully functional. And today we have the honor of having the DG of Policies and Programs Bayelsa State, Dr. John Idumange, to do justice to some of the frequently asked questions. Nice to meet you, Dr. John, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bayelsans. Before you kickstart the program, the Restoration Administration was determined to make a change. In good governance, you cannot drive good governance without sound, sustainable policies. So I am today warehousing all the policies and programs of the Restoration Administration. Thank you once more.
Thank you again. You can join the conversation by sending your questions directly to the platform you are viewing from or the phone lines that we have. I'd like to call some of these numbers that you can reach us through your text messages and your queries. 070-6840-5809. I'll take that again. 070-6840-5809. Or you can call this other number, or preferably send your text messages to 070-119-38880. Thank you. So quickly we'll be going into the topic of today. Dr. John Idumange, can you please talk to us about some of the government's policies on transparency and accountability and its impact on governance as well as its direct impact on the citizens, sir?
Yes. Generally, government cannot operate without, the responsible government cannot operate without putting certain policies in place. The policies are it's like you are a pilot and you are moving a ship. You need a compass to be able to know the right destination, the right route to follow. So policies are like light that illuminates the path of good governance.
Yeah.
So having said that, let me correct one impression. I am always also on the social media. Recently, the State House of Assembly passed a law establishing the University of Medical Sciences, and I saw a lot of comments, some condemning, some talking about not taking the law to public hearing and so on.
Yeah.
You see, there are some policies which are passed into law. The essence of passing a law, a policy into law, is to give it a stamp of legitimacy, to legitimize that policy. It does not mean that that is the end. In the process of implementing the policy, you see some rough edges, and you may want to do amendment, and that is why laws are also what? Amended. So, for once, let me inform the public that distributive policies, that is the idea of government citing projects here and there, is the prerogative of government. That is the prerogative of government. You cannot make any input insofar as that program or that project is cited in the state. If it is cited outside the state, you have a right to say, look, this one is not Bayelsa State. Okay. But insofar as the program number one, if the program is cited in the state, if the program is in the overriding interest of the public, you don't need any public hearing in such a bill that is passed into law. Let me clarify that. Now, having said that, one of the major problems we faced when we assumed office was the heavy debt burden. As soon as the governor was sworn in, he constituted a technical committee headed by Timi Alaibe, and the outcome of that, the findings of that committee were that one, Bayelsa State was indebted to the tune of 257 billion. That is not including the 50 billion bond debt owed by the previous administration.
Dr. John,
So,
1 minute, please.
yes.
I'd like you to bring it down to the transparency and accountability.
Yes.
Like you earlier stated about the newly formed medical school. I'd like you to throw more light on transparency, because you said that the populace were complaining that they didn't take this policy to the streets or to the people to air their views. I want to know, is it bad for them to ask that? Because if we must talk about transparency and accountability, of which this government preaches about, I think we were supposed to do something like this. So I want you to talk about that before you come to the aspect of bonds and all.
No, policies are different. Now, the policies that will attract public hearing are redistributive policies. For instance, you cite an industry or you cite a project somewhere and you relocate it. It will attract a lot of comments. You have to do a lot of explanation. You have to tell the public, give the public sufficient reasons why you are relocating it. Then another policy that can elicit a lot of comments from the public is constituent policy. That is, constituent policies are those policies you are establishing, you are trying to put together to establish new structures, departments, agencies, and so on. Because in government, we have discovered that there are so many, if you look at the agencies, you see an overlap of functions. So that is where you subject such a bill to public hearing. Then beyond that, there are still some policy typologies you can subject to public hearing, but it does not apply in the case of distributive policy. That is, government citing social amenities or something like a school which is in the overriding interest of the public. That point should be made very clear. Now, having said that, I was narrating a story. When we came in, a technical committee was formed. We discovered that the state was heavily indebted. And we also discovered that the wage bill was very, very high. The wage bill we saw then was 6.4 billion naira. Now, what did the governor do? The governor said, this is an unacceptable situation. Bayelsa State, if you look at the population, is not up to about one third of Rivers State. But even the bill of Rivers State, the three states that have the highest wage bill are 1, Lagos State, 2, Kano State, 3, Delta State. But our wage bill was, if you put the wage bill of Benue State, Cross River State, and Delta State put together, that is when you get the wage bill we met, 6.4 billion. So one of the first laws the governor made, one of the first bills introduced, it's an executive bill, was the Bayelsa State, the bill is here now, let me read it out, the Bayelsa State Fiscal Responsibility Bill. Beyond that, it went further to make the Bayelsa State Income and Expenditure Transparency Bill. All these bills were made, they were passed into law in 2012, the same year we came into power. Now let us elucidate a bit on the Income and Expenditure Bill. The Bayelsa Income and Expenditure Bill states that, transparency, if you look at all the variables of good governance, transparency, that the transparent conduct of governance, government transactions, is the foremost principle that guides good governance. So this policy states that government owe the people a responsibility to disclose on a monthly basis, disclose as sources of income and expenditure. And this includes, number 1, statutory allocation. Number 2, VAT, that is value added tax. Number 3, derivation. Number 4, IGR, internally generated revenue. Now, government has to disclose this before the 14th, on or before the 14th of the new month. And failure to disclose it is an offense. Now, the law went ahead to state that the public, when that disclosure has been done, the public can also write, as a member of the public, after 21 days, you can write to the Commissioner for Information and give you a copy of that is a raw copy, the hard copy of how government got money and how government spent money. That is about the transparency. That is why today, every month, government conducts the transparency briefing. That's the transparency initiative. Now, beyond that, the law went further to state that it will not end with the state government. The law went further to say that the local government chairman has a responsibility to disclose his sources of income and expenditure on a monthly basis.
Dr. John, let me cut you here. Talking about the local government chairman, I think that we'll need to talk about it because you actually brought it up. But right now, can you please talk about the impact of these laws on the citizens?
Now, number one, if we are specific about the Bayelsa state income and expenditure transparency, number one, it is a tool of financial accountability. You know, finance is the solar plexus. Finance is the bedrock of governance. Without finance, you cannot talk of policies and what? Programs. So it shows that the restoration administration is bent on, you know, being accountable, holding ourselves accountable to the people. Again, it is a tool of sensitization. Today, if there is transparency briefing, you don't even need to walk to government house. You need to stay by the radio, and if you want to tape it, you can tape it and replay it. You sensitize the public about how much government is getting and how much government is what? Spending, and in what sectors. Beyond that, you can also look at the income of a state and match it with the projects that are ongoing. In that way, there is also some measure of project accountability. Now, beyond that, you are building, you see, the money being spent in a state is the taxpayers' what? Money. Whichever source or however that money comes in. Today, we have programs where we have been levied a little taxes. So, that law also builds confidence in the taxpayer and gives stakeholders a sense of belonging, that they are part of governance, that they are being carried along. Fear of not being carried along is a result of not operating a transparent government. Before now, let me let you know, before now, the amount of money that comes into Bayelsa State was a subject of guesstimates. People were just guessing. But today, from the time the restoration of the assumed office, it has been clear. Every month you know how much we got. The last transparency briefing we did, you all saw it. We were even running a deficit in some cases. Raising issues of number one, the oil price is high. We should get more money since the naira has been devalued 100 times over. So these are some of the issues that arose from the issue of transparency briefing. Then the other law that was actually made to check payroll fraud and so on was also made that law was also passed in 2012. The Bayelsa State Salary Fraud and Related Offenses. Now, the thinking of government at that time was very clear. Bayelsa State is about 2 million persons. And our workforce should be less than that of Rivers State. Because we have 8 local governments. Rivers State has 23 local governments. How can our salary wage bill be bigger than states with 16 local governments, 23 local governments, and so on?
How did we come about that?
That is what I'm saying. So this law, Bayelsa State Salary Fraud and Related Offenses, was made. That law was passed into the bill was passed into law to check 1, payroll fraud. 2, some people engage in great racketeering. Some use fake certificates. Some, collect salaries at more than 1 pay point. We call that double employment. You are collecting your salary in Radio Bayelsa. You are also collecting in NDU. You are collecting your salary in a Bureau of Public Enterprises. You are also collecting your money in the Ministry of Finance. That is double employment. Beyond that, forging and alteration of, your employment letter. There are some people who were employed in maybe 5 years ago, but because they want to fast track their promotion, they will backdate such promotions and such employment letters, thereby earning them grades which ordinarily they never merited.
Okay, Dr. John, quickly.
Yes.
Can you please read out this act for us? Let's know, because you've stated so many things there.
Yes.
Let the people out there also know what this law is actually all about before we go.
We cannot read out the law. I can only read out the heading of the law.
Okay.
If you are going to read the entire law, it means you will read only one law. Some of them are so robust, 18 pages, 20 pages, and so on. Now, the point here is that this particular law, let me finish. This particular law makes it an offense for anybody that is engaged in payroll fraud, falsification of certificates, or engaged in grade racketeering. The penalty for an individual is 10 years. That alone, hearing that if you engage in payroll fraud and you are caught, you will be sent to jail for 10 years, to prison for 10 years, can evoke a lot, it can bring about a lot of fear on the part of people. So we ended up weeding out a lot of ghost workers. We put pay to the payroll fraud, grade racketeering, and so on. The most important effect is that that law has been able to free up resources. Now we can, with scientific exactitude, know the number of workers we have. All the ghost workers are, some are dead, some are still alive. The situation where somebody who died 5 years ago is still collecting money, that must be his ghost that is collecting that money. And so all that is now put in the past. And today, our wage bill has, slumped from 6.4 billion to about 3.2 billion. So the import of that is very clear. When the wage bill reduces, you now have enough money to do projects, building schools, building hospitals. Just look at this area. Just look at our surrounding alone. We have the specialist hospital. We have the government house clinic, which is very, very sophisticated. We have the diagnostic center, which is not up to 3-minute drive from here. We have the research center on HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis. We have the drug mart. So this place, now you can have value for money. You can now feel the impact of people who are running a government. It was not like the laissez-faire system that was operational at that time. When you run, there was no respect for public funds. When you run the government like as if you are in a mafia paradise, you throw parties anyhow, no accountability, nothing. The wage bill kept rising, and no new employments were made. So we have been able to solve. We are still in the process of the reforms anyway. We have been able to solve at least 90% of the problem of payroll fraud in Bayelsa State.
Thank you.
That, I think, is a major achievement of the public sector reforms.
Thank you. That brings me to the next question. What are the policies on education, the benefits of these policies, and the impact so far on the citizens?
Yes, in the beginning, Bayelsa State Educational System, the mainstream of educational system it was at its last stage of decay. When we came in, if you read the inaugural address of Governor Seriake Dickson, that was the beginning. On the 14th of February 2012, the governor declared a state of what? Emergency on education. And that state of emergency was translated into several other policies and programs. Today, Bayelsa State runs free education, free basic education. Most of the projects, school projects that were initiated by the immediate past administration were not completed. Government had to rejig SUBED. They have to reconstitute SUBED, alter the parts of the law to create room for effective and efficient service delivery. And that is why today, Bayelsa, this administration alone has built well over 400 schools. I'm not talking about the tertiary institutions. 400 schools. Now, we also have model schools Apart from the model schools, we have some boarding schools. Apart from the boarding schools, we have what we call mega schools. We call them mega because, number one, that school has a headmaster's quarters. I'm talking about both for the secondary school and for primary school. If you are coming on this road, you are going to see a prototype of our model primary school at Biokolo. You will see it fenced. You will see a football pitch created. You have the headmaster's quarters. You have a 75 kVA generator running. You have a water scheme that is accessible and running. You have a multi-purpose hall that can seat 2,000 students. You have 2 computer theaters. You have 23 toilets and a lot of classrooms. Today in Bayelsa, we have excess classrooms in our schools. And that is as a result of the vision of Governor Henry Seriake Dickson, who discovered that human capital is a spark plug for development. Human capital, you see, when you talk of population, a population that has no skills is not a population that can drive the economy. So when you are trained, when you have skills that can enable you to manipulate economic resources, then you become a brain power, you become a manpower. So we have derived a lot of benefits from the declaration of free education. Number one, enrollment ratio was less than 40%. Today it is above 75%. That is enrollment ratio. Number two, attrition rate. Sorry, I am an educationist. When we say attrition rate, the rate at which people come to school and drop out. Yeah. In research, when you drop out, we say you are dead. The fatality rate or the mortality rate of students was very high then. Now parents are encouraged to bring their children to school because education is what? Free. Books are free, biro free, and so on. In any case, remember that there could be some dubious headmasters and school principals that may want to come up with some illegal levies, and that is why we created Countryman Direct. That if there is any case like that, report it directly to the governor. I'm sure they have not forgotten that that thing is still working. Report to the governor directly, and action will be taken. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, the state SUBEB chairman has disciplined some erring headmasters and school principals. Some were suspended, some were demoted for collecting illegal levies from students. Now, beyond that, Bayelsa State was educationally disadvantaged. And I don't particularly like that time because I'm an educationist. When they say you are disadvantaged, what do? It is like, glorifying you for being educationally disadvantaged. And they pay you some little stipend for being a disadvantaged person. So what happened? Since we came in national exams, like WAEC and NECO, Bayelsa State used to occupy the lower rung of the ladder. 28 position among 36, 27 position among 36 states. But today, right from 2013, when the free education policy was implemented, we have been occupying 4th position, 5th position, and 6th position in national exams. On the average, we have been, if you work at the entire average, we have been on the 4th position nationally. So the free education policy has also enabled us to remove ourselves from the unenviable league of educational disadvantage of our states. And that's why today, Bayelsa State is counted as one of the states with high literacy level. You see. So again, this is another policy that endears the government to the people. Whether I don't know, it is not politics. This thing is seen. You can go around and confirm for yourself. We are not the people marking WAEC or NECO. But when the result comes out, you see Bayelsa occupying a position. We are also proud of the restoration of position.
Yeah,
Thank you.
John, you've said a whole lot about this education policy. But let me ask you a question quickly about the same on education.
Yeah.
This policy, does it have any part for the teachers?
Yes. There is a part for the teachers. Initially, the government established the teacher training institute.
Okay, what about their welfare? I'd like you to talk about their welfare also.
Yes, government has been able to, the only way you can motivate a teacher is continuous training and what? Retraining. Then when somebody is due for promotion, you bring the person to attend an interview. You bring the person to attend an interview. And when the person passes the interview, the person is what? Promoted. So that has been done. Though there is a caveat here, that although so many teachers have been promoted, the reforms we are carrying out include also the pensioners, because there too we discovered that there was fraud. Yeah. Some people will still be in the civil service, and they are also pensioners. So you see them collecting wanting to eat with double hands and double legs. So we are also weeding out pensioners who fall into that category. And I think the report must be ready now. So there is recently in 2018, government even went further in order to protect the interests of teachers. Government went further to establish the Teacher Training, Registration and Certification Board. This board has a mandate to train teachers and to retrain them. In other nations, if you go to the advanced countries, to ensure that, to make you know that teaching is a profession. A teacher has, like a doctor, will have a license to operate. Teachers also have what? Licenses. So you don't take the profession for a ride. The teaching profession is a profession that is established all over the world. So this body will also issue licenses to qualified persons. And because knowledge recycles in every 5 years, these teachers will be trained in every 3 years. This board has been constituted, I think, with Dr. Mrs. Ogolo. She came to University of Benin, same faculty, after I had gone several years ago. But she still knows the radical teachers we used to have in that university. Then is to, this law is to professionalize teaching. So teaching, because there are some people who claim to be teaching, but they're actually cheating. But if you don't know, somebody says somebody is cheating or teaching, you may think cheating is also what? Teaching. Some people took teaching as a stopgap. So here, when we talk about professionalizing teaching, one, we need people with NCE degree. We need people with, I'm a teacher, a quintessential teacher. I have B.Ed, I have M.Ed, I have Ph.D. All in teaching, all in education. So I prefer to call myself a teacher than a lecturer, because in the classroom, I will ensure that even the intellectually, weak students understand what we are talking about.
Okay, Dr. John,
yes.
You said so much about teaching, retraining the teachers, and all of that. So what about their welfare? Would you tell the people that the teachers are being treated fairly? We all know that teachers are nation builders.
Yes.
In their welfare, do you say that they've been treated fairly, or there's a process or there's a provision for them? Because without these teachers, we all seated here won't be here today.
Yes, one of the ways the Restoration Administration has provided a little comfort for the teachers is to build principals and teachers their quarters.
Okay.
So gone are the days when principals and headmasters used to pay house rent, or they are far away from the school and they cannot meet up devotion.
Dr. John,
so
are you saying that all schools here in Bayelsa now have those facilities, or
yes,
just for these our model schools?
No, we call them mega schools.
Okay, mega schools.
Schools are of different categories.
Okay.
But all the mega schools have them.
Okay.
It is more so with the model schools. The model schools, all of them have them. Beyond that, they have other incentives which they give to the teachers and the school principals. But there is a caveat here. I cannot come to this forum to tell lies. One thing this administration is considering very seriously is to pay the allowances of what? teachers who have passed their promotion exams. They have been promoted, but they have not all been paid their promotion allowances. I consider that, and that is partly because of the ongoing reforms, especially affecting the teachers. Remember that the teaching force, especially of the primary school, is supposed to be the responsibility of the local government. But we have discovered that from the time of the recession till today, most local governments were not living up to expectation. So you see the state government picking up to 60% of the responsibility of teachers. And that is why we are also checking their records. That is why we are also scrutinizing those who are actually teachers, because some, I know of a man, the parents, the children had to beg him before he retired. Every two years, he renews his age, and is younger until he was 72. So somebody asked him a question. If you continue to remain in service, where will a BA work? Where will a Tarepa work? You are still in service, leave so that they can come in. It was at that point that the man had to take a bold decision to leave, to retire. His real age came out, and then not long after he retired, the man even died.
Okay, Dr. John, that brings us to the third question today. Many Bayelsans have complained about the number of policies the restoration government have put in place. Won't there be issues with implementation and sustainability? This is very, very essential.
It is essential. You discover that policies are made to solve problems. If there was nothing like payroll fraud, over-bloated wages, and so on, there wouldn't have been any need for all these laws.
Don't forget, we have issues in this country as a whole with continuity.
Yes. Now, why did the Restoration Administration make so many policies? Every sector is guided by a policy. You see, we inherited a system that was just naked. Everybody, any commissioner is free to initiate any project he likes in his community. No. Now we have a coordinated system, and what is actually making the system coordinated are the policies of government. Remember that some people find it difficult to differentiate between policies, programs, and projects. Now, policies are long-term aims of government. When you have so many streams of projects together, you have a program. For instance, in the free education policy, we have school feeding is a program. Supply of books is also a program. Building of headmasters' quarters and so on is also a program. But when you are talking about individual building, you are now bringing it down to the level of a project. In a project has short-term dividends, which are measurable. Yeah. So the three of them are not the same. Don't confuse policy with programs or programs with projects. They are not the same. It is from a policy that you derive so many programs, and from a program you can derive a project. So that is it. So having said that, your question was about
sustainability.
Yes, the sustainability issue has been a problem to me too. But you also discover that in order to allow the health insurance scheme run, you discover that there is a sustainability component built into that policy. And that is that civil servants, if you're a civil servant and so on, you pay a token, just a little of your money. So that way the program can run forever. And I don't think any administration after us will come and say this is not a good policy. I have seen so many people who have benefited from the health insurance scheme. The same thing applies to the free education. You remember, it raised a lot of dust. The Bayelsa State Education Development Trust Fund. I mean, paying just a token, maybe 3 naira to get services worth 100,000 naira. I don't think it's a bad idea. So, in that one too, there is a sustainability component built into that policy. But there are some policies like funding of universities. There, I would want to say that we still have to look at the sustainability component of those policies. For instance, if we leave office on the 14th of February 2020, what happens to the funding model? There are so many people who have asked several questions. I think they need a little seminar to be able to understand how the JUKUs, because the PPP model being adopted in the University of Africa is modeled along the line of the funding of the JUKUs in Japan. So if you don't understand it, that is why you see a lot of controversy surrounding the university. So we still need some, enlightenment, some sensitization for them to come to terms with what is happening. So the sustainability issue will depend on one, who succeeds the restoration administration. Because if there are sustainable policies in place, I know that no governor or no administration will come and say, let us throw this good thing away. No, it's not possible. You can see how Your Excellency, our amiable governor, has passed a bill into law concerning the University of Medical Sciences. And where is he going to start it? He will start it in a place where we already have some infrastructure. That is a plus. Because frankly speaking, building a 500-bed hospital and trying to make Bayelsa State a haven for health tourism for now is not practicable. And that is why, in order to ensure that those facilities do not decay, this idea of the University of Medical Sciences is a welcome idea. But there are still some areas we are thinking through. We still have some areas where, for instance, the payroll fraud thing. When we leave, what is the guarantee that whoever is coming to take power, or whoever we are going to give power to, will not come and distort the gains we have made so far? I believe that whoever is coming as a governor should leverage on our achievement, should consolidate on what we have achieved.
Yes, okay,
yes.
Dr. John. All right, people, you've been listening to Dr. John Idumange, the DG Policy and Programs of the Restoration Government. We still have a whole lot to go through, but if I let him, he's going to talk through. But right now, like I said earlier, you can join the conversation on our Facebook and also call the countryman lines, or preferably send text to the phone numbers 070-6840-5809, 070-119-38880. You can call these numbers, send your text messages to these numbers. Thank you. Dr. John, like you were earlier saying, you made mention of the health insurance policy.
Yes.
How has this really affected Bayelsans as a whole?
Even I think just 2 weeks ago, somebody had problems with her eyes, and she went there. She's a staff of government. She came back singing hallelujah because ordinarily, if she was to go to a private optician, the bill would have been so robust that it would have taken her almost maybe the whole of her salary to be able to get new glasses, to be able to get someone to look at what was wrong with her eyes and so on. This policy is very simple. Government takes a little from you when you are sick. All you need to do is present your card that you have subscribed to the insurance policy, and your health problems are taken care of. The benefits of given free treatment far outweigh the little token you are contributing. So that is the baseline. The baseline is that if you have typhoid today, the first thing you will do is you will resort to self-medication. And in self-medication, you may end up spending 5,000 naira. When you discover that the drugs are not working, you will now go to the hospital, take a card, and again, you know our disdain for public hospitals.
Yeah.
That is also in the past, because the public hospitals we have now have sophisticated health facilities, second to none. Passenger the other day, is it up to two weeks? When he came here, he flew all the way from America, came here to do a routine health check at our diagnostic center. And what did he say? He said, if you want to learn how to govern your people well, go and learn from Governor Henry Seriake Dickson. So all of them, all the policies, one thing you consider before coming up with a policy is the cost-benefit analysis. If the cost, because we have discovered that so many children died because of ordinary fever, the parents could not afford it. Sometimes the fever will come at a point you have exhausted your salary, so you are helpless. You want to borrow from somebody and the person has no money to give to you. So we now have a situation where just pay a token out of your salary, and any health-related problem you have, just run to the hospital. There are some designated hospitals, and they have been so advertised, and the public has been so sensitized. So you just go there with your card, and you are given first-class treatment. Yes. But one mistake some people make is that they feel that all hospitals are hospitals that are meant to deliver such services. So if you are living in Otuan or you are living in Otueke, there are designated hospitals where you will go to and you are given such first-class services. So that is it. For me, that is one of the most profound laws, policies made by government, because government does not play with the health of our citizens. Because it is only when you are healthy that you can carry out other functions. Yes. So that is it.
Thank you, Dr. John Idumange. Let me ask you one more question. One crucial form of human capital ignored by most governments is entrepreneurial skill. Entrepreneurs, or the captains of industry, act as an engine of growth. Is there any policy set aside by the Restoration Administration geared towards development of entrepreneurial skills?
Yes, not only do we have a policy, we had a policy before now, but as we speak, we have an entrepreneurship center. If you, again, the governor aware of the fact that most youths have no skills. Remember, this is the only administration that separated the Ministry of Youth Development from Ministry of Sports. They used to be together, Ministry of Sports and Youth Development. But this administration established the Ministry of Youth Development as distinct, as a separate ministry to cater for the needs of youths alone. So I think the other day they did what did they do? They displayed some of their products. There are some sandals you can buy that are made in Bayelsa State. There are some, you girls, you like makeup too. There are some elementary makeup you can buy. They are made in what? My wife went to Abuja. There was one cleanser she bought. When she bought and brought it, I said, where is this cleanser from? I discovered that it was made in what? Yenagua. I was very proud. She too was very proud that, if they can produce this kind of cleanser in Yenagua, then the youths here are not as lazy as some people at the center may think. Our youths are very enterprising. All they need is open a window of opportunity and they will exploit it. Our youths are doing very well in the area of shoemaking. Some are even going to learn aquaculture. Some are, some of these guys, some of them. Interact with them. If you come to social media, Bayelsa State is dominating the whole country. There is no state that has more visibility on the cyberspace than Bayelsa. In fact, we are occupying about 80% of the cyber space. I told my classmate today, is the commissioner for education in Rivers, Dr. Tabnos Jaja. I said, look, you guys, what are you doing? Here in Bayelsa, we are dominating the cyberspace. Battle is coming there that I will tell the social media team here to go and rescue them in Rivers State. And I know I will, when I tell the director of social media, he will oblige me to go with my team, to go with our team to rescue Bayelsa State.
Okay, Dr. John, I would have asked you more questions on this, but you have just told me that the state has established somewhere for entrepreneurs. So I'll let that be for the people in charge of that, because my questions are towards that. But quickly, I want to ask you another question. I'd like you to talk about the government's policy on security and how it has contributed to the state's label as one of the safest in the region.
In fact, that is one of the first bills we passed. You know, on assumption of office, we discovered that who has read all those mafia books? The way Al Capone and Lucky Luciano, the way they were running Chicago in the early 1990s, in the early 1900s. Bayelsa State was a mafia paradise with gun running, gun handling. Gun handling was so careless that almost everybody, cultism was at its peak. That is another thing I should like to speak on. Cultism. When my friend, who was the SSA, we started this job as SSAs. SSA on NGOs. It was in his office that we are registering the cultists. So cultism was at its peak. So many people, I don't know what the government did. Drugs. So many youths were treated to a cocktail of drugs. So committing a crime or shooting a human being for them was like stepping on an ant and extinguishing it. You see? So that was the situation we met. There was no safety of lives and property in Bayelsa State. The governor said, no, I have to invest in peace and security. And that is why if you go back to our initial statements in government, the first priority is peace and security. The second is human capital development. The second is infrastructure. And the third is human capital development. These are the three cardinal areas where the government chose as a priority. So the government made several laws to ensure that that kind of situation was stopped. One was the Bayelsa State Security Electronic Surveillance Law, made in 2012. If you are going to government, if you are going to the lodge, if you are going to White House, look at that. There is a building by the right. If you go up there and see what government has procured, you will be so shocked. Again, we also commissioned in each local government, in each major town, there was an emergency security. As you are coming into Bayelsa State, you are going to see a building by the right. As you are coming into Bayelsa State from Glory Drive, you also see a building by the right.
Dr. John, are these things functional?
Yes, some are functional. Okay. But others may not, because the one in Ogbe I saw the other day, I'm not sure it is functional. And again, we have to call attention to some of these areas so that government, government is a continuum. But there are some facilities we have put in place which must function within the lifetime of this administration. Then there was also a novel idea that came to government. That was to reinforce internal security, and that was what led to the establishment of a swift operation force called Doakpo. Remember that Famutangbe, I actually wrote the last petition that led to the abolition of the Famutangbe security outfit, which was murderous, which was uncontrollable, which was unconscionable. The members, instead of keeping the peace, the members were troublemakers, sentencing people through extrajudicial means and so on. So Doakpo now took the place of Famutangbe, and there was peace in the state. Remember that there is no country in the world, there is no city in the world where peace is 100%. You cannot guarantee that, because in the best of situations, you still have some criminally minded individuals. Yeah. In criminology, we call such characters criminogenic characters. They exist everywhere. It is not out of lack of money. No, criminals. I lost my father at the age of 8. I still went to school because I was determined. There were people who had big fathers and rich fathers and so on. They were not determined to go to school. So these are the issues we talk about. Society cannot be totally free from crime. But to a reasonable extent, I can say about 95% of our aim to secure lives and property, and there was another law we passed, the prohibition of kidnapping. Let me read it out. There was also a law called the Bayelsa State Security Trust Fund. Monies that people can pay a little money. Then when there was a day I was coming out when people were going to rob, I just called Doakbo. That time Doakbo was very, very effective. And that is why I want to call on government. This one is very serious. I want to call on government. This feeding of Doakbo, this program of feeding Doakbo should be reinstated. Now you call Doakbo, they no longer, they are no longer as swift as the other should have been.
Yes, that's the issue.
The lack of feeding these people, feeding is bondage. A hungry man cannot carry an AK-47. He will be falling and standing, and you are pursuing a criminal. That is not acceptable. And that is why I am calling on the SS Security, who is my mentor. I am also calling on all the CSO of Government House, relay this message to His Excellency and everybody who is in that Security Council meeting, that the feeding of Doakbo, don't feed us, but those who are carrying guns, looking after the safety of the people, still feed them. For me, that one will go a long way, because they are not as swift as they used to be. I started with this administration. We are the first set of appointees. I know how swift they were. You call Doakbo, 2 minutes, they will appear. But now, call 3 times, you won't see them until maybe those who are operating there might have finished with their illegal operation. So this is one point we must make. Feed the Doakbo people.
Okay, Dr.
Don't
John.
feed me.
All right, like I earlier stated, you can still send in your queries and questions to our Facebook platform where you are viewing this live media chat, or you can still send your messages to the phone numbers 070-6840-5809 or 070-1193-8880. Dr. John, we are running up right now.
Yes, I don't know if you will allow me to talk on the secret cult thing.
We are going to talk about that, but I don't think it's going to be today because time is almost
I know my appearance here will not just be one of
time
because somewhere along the line I will come in again.
You
the policies are many.
Yes, because we need you to talk more about these things. So definitely we will still bring you here to talk. But quickly, I would like you to wind up on what has government put in place for the youths. Aside from the 1,000 man employment that wants to come up, we have more than 1,000 youths out there that are not employed. What are the policies that government has made in place for the youths?
I should like you to go to the volunteers and ask how many Bayelsa youths were absorbed there. Beyond that, go to the Ministry of, go to Honorable Collins Kokodia. He actually presided over all those things. Remember, have you forgotten, maybe you were not here, have you forgotten that we sent about 300 youths to Porto Novo, Republic of Benin?
I know about that, but I am asking you, Dr. John.
Have you also forgotten that we have a fish village there?
Dr. John.
All these people. Yes. What is it that you want to?
Guiding these youths.
Yes.
Assuring them of tomorrow.
Yes.
Is there any policy like that?
If there were no policies, there wouldn't have been a need for
everybody out there is aware of this.
For government, that is why we are talking to the public now. If there were no policies, certainly a separate ministry would not have been created for them. Youth development. There are several policies. And again, we have, Mike is aware now, we belong to the Policy Compilation Committee. Okay. We have gone to them to serve us their policies so that we can analyze them, look at the impact of every policy on the overall people of Bayelsa State.
Okay, Dr. John, in one word, your final words, because we're closing right now.
Okay, if you are closing, Bayelsa State has never had it so good. The Restoration Administration, especially, I want to thank His Excellency, the Governor himself, who conceived of God. Most of these bills we are talking about, most of these laws originated from the executive arm of government. They were passed as executive bills into law. I have seen, this is the first time I'm seeing in Bayelsa State that one administration alone has made more policies and programs than all successive administrations put together. These laws or these policies are made to guide decisions. They are made to, guide government in taking decisions. They are also made in the interest of the ordinary world, Bayelsa. And that is why we should, forget about politics, your political inclination, whether you belong to PRP, X party, XYZ, and so on. These policies are for Bayelsans. They were not made on partisan basis. So let us embrace them. And for those who understand the policies, in turn, I want them to tell the other people the benefits of such policies. We cannot organize town hall meetings again in every community to begin to preach the benefits of these policies. I want to thank the director, Bayelsa New Media, Honorable Koroye, for organizing this platform. I also want to thank you, Yvonne, is it not?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For, then the entire social media, new media team, I want to thank all of you. You are doing a great job. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. John. That has been the DG of Policy and Programs Bayelsa State, Dr. John Idumange, who has taken us through the whole policies of the restoration government. This program is not ending now, but we're going on a short break, and we will be back by 1 p.m. By 12 p.m., I beg your pardon, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.